Hi, this is Miguel Gulen. I am a Director of Professional Development at tcea.org. I really want to invite you to check out the TCA blog. You can go to tca.org/blog. And once you get there, you can do a quick search on categories, and you will be able to um, find the Microsoft category, which has tons of great blog entries and resources for you. And a lot of them are relevant to OneNote and using it in different situations. A little bit about me: you can reach me on Twitter at MGUHLIN. I also have a 1-800 number, 1-800-282-8232. And I hope that you'll take some time and make contact. Uh, There is an online notebook available for you to check out. Tons of resources there. It's ly.tca.org/connect. And this is actually a OneNote notebook that I have made available and shared online, and has multiple sections down here on the left-hand side that you can check out. Well, enough about me. Um, let's talk a little bit about OneNote and getting started. A lot of us want to use OneNote uh, for personal use, but we also want to use it in our classroom with our students. In fact, I was just exchanging Twitter messages with a lady by the name of Linda, who wanted to use OneNote class notebook. So there's been tons of changes over the last few months in regards to OneNote. And I thought I would just share my process for first getting started with a OneNote notebook that I would use, let's say, to keep track of my lesson plans and my notes. I could share it with other educators. I could share the resources online. And then, after we've sort of explored that, we'll take a look at what a Office 365 work account based OneNote notebook would look like, especially because of the class notebook aspect of it. So the first part of this, we're going to sort of play around with setting up a OneNote notebook using the Microsoft OneDrive. That's the consumer version of the OneDrive for business, and it's a little different from what you might run into in Office 365, but it's not that different. Okay, so first of all, let me go ahead and log in to my Microsoft OneDrive. I'm going to go ahead and sign in using my account. And notice that as soon as I sign in, OneDrive or Microsoft will ask me, are you trying to sign in with your Microsoft account, or were you trying to access your work or school account? And this is a common mistake for people who are first setting up an account, that they'll create a personal OneDrive account using their work email. And so it results in a little bit of confusion. But in this case, I'm using a personal email with the consumer version of OneDrive. So I'm just going to click on OneDrive, and I'm using that free Microsoft account. Here's another tip for you. If the login screen is in the middle of the page like this, as opposed to being all the way over here on the right hand side, chances are you're using the free Microsoft account. So that's just a quick point to be aware of. Let me show you what it looks like, let's say so if I were to go to portal.office.com, if I go to portal.office.com, let me go ahead and sign out and then sign back in. You can see that the login is intended to be over here on the right hand side. So when I click on sign in, it's going to say, what account do you want to use? And of course, once I type it in, it'll ask me, are you sure? What account do you really want to use? Is it the work or school account? But notice that it's all over here on the far right hand side. The Microsoft free account would be here. So I'm going to click on that, my Office 365, and then enter the correct password. and now I'm logged into Office 365. And this particular one is going to look a little bit different. And I'm going to sort of just put these side by side with my other screen. So there we go. This is on the left-hand side, you can see this is my personal OneDrive account. And on the right-hand side is the Office 365 sort of account. I'm going to click on OneDrive now to open that up so you can see the differences. Well, there's not that many differences as you can see. If I switch to list view, it's going to be pretty simple. When I click on new, I have on the Office 365 side, I have Word documents, Excel workbooks, PowerPoint presentations, OneNote notebook, which we're going to come back to in just a moment, forms for Excel, and a lot more. Come over here, I've got almost about the same things, except I don't have forms for Excel, I don't have Visio drawings, and I don't have links. But everything else is generally the same. So this just gives you a sort of a comparison view of the two. This on the left is my personal account. I have 50 gigabytes of storage. I've got 16. But if I come over here and click on the work side, it's pretty much, I don't have any limits. I think if there is a limit, it's like a terabyte, and you can get up to 15 terabytes if you're part of a, depending on the setup in your particular school district. So this is just the different views between the two. This is the personal, this is the Office 365. Let's focus on the Office 365 view. And on the Office 365 view, you'll notice that I have class notebooks and I have notebooks. So if I go into my notebooks folder, I have a few folders here. So for example, but let's go ahead and just create one from scratch. I can click on new and go down to OneNote notebook. Now remember, this particular notebook is not intended to be used with my students. It's intended for me to use to maybe archive resources and things like that. And that can be a real game changer for a lot of us, because sometimes we can take all of those online resources, documents that we've collected over the years, and we can put them into a OneNote notebook so it makes sense. So I'm just going to call this OneNote Organizer. Or let's just call it Organizer, keep it short. I'm going to click Create, and as soon as I click Create, notice that it starts to it drops me right into OneNote Online. And this is how I could access OneNote Notebook if I was perhaps only on a machine that could run a browser. So, or that could be, I could be in a library, I could be at a friend's house, I could be on a Chromebook, but I would be able to access a lot of the resources for this. And as you can see, I've got a lot of different features here. Now, one of the features I want to call your attention to is, aside from the insert, being able to insert pictures and tables and things like that, the draw features, is that there's something called Class Notebook. And Class Notebook is built in now into OneNote notebooks that are created. So it is automatically already there. Now remember, this notebook is not intended to be used with students. This is a notebook that I'm creating to help me stay organized. So before I do anything else, I'm going to come over here to where it says Open in OneNote, and what I expect to see happen is that OneNote on my computer, which is down here, is going to actually open up. So I've gone ahead and closed it. Now let's see what happens. I'm going to click on Open in OneNote. You'll notice it brought up OneNote, and one of the first things that it's going to ask me is, what account are you using with this particular notebook? Now you're going to want to type in your school district username and or your email, as well as your assigned password. And then you'll want to check work or school account. And if you haven't typed in your password before, you'll need to do that. So once I sign in, what's going to start to happen is that you'll see if it doesn't quit on us. Let me try that again. It's going to start to sync or make a copy of the notebook that's online and put it into the OneNote notebook, or excuse me, on the OneNote app. So now if I look at this, I can see that, let me go ahead and close that one real quick. You can see that I have a notebook called Organizer, and it's open as opposed to being closed like these other two. And it's pretty empty. Now I can come in and rename the sections. So for example, I'm just going to call this the welcome section. And then I could also come in and just type in information. Now, if you haven't worked with OneNote before, I just want to quickly give you a tour of what's possible here. One thing that's really neat about working with a OneNote notebook is that you can pretty much start working as soon as you've gotten a copy of that notebook here. You can see at the top of the screen it says Organizer Syncing, and so now what's happening is that it's just making sure that you have the most up-to-date copy on your machine. But if I were to flip over or flip back to the online version, you can see that some of the changes have already been synced. For example, the page is called Introduction. The section hasn't updated yet, but if I hit reload, it will probably pull in just a second. So as you can see, I'm online, I'm on the web through my browser, and now my section name is there, Welcome and Introduction. So any changes that I make in either space will be reflected in the other as soon as those changes are synchronized. And how fast those are synchronized will depend on the speed of your internet connection. So let me go ahead and just quickly drop some information here. One of the neat things about OneNote is that if you already have content, let's say in another notebook, and like for example, I have this sort of introductory page, I can just click on it and then flip back over and paste it in. And now I've got some information here. Now let's say that I wanted to copy some information over. Let's say I wanted this whole this page on free OER journals, open educational resources. I can just go down here to move or copy, and it's going to say, where do you want to copy that? Well, I don't want to copy it in this existing notebook because that's where I'm at right now, TCA Connect 3. But if I go back up to the notebook level, I can go to Organizer and then drop it into any section. Since I only have one section in Organizer, I'm going to choose Welcome. And I have the option to move or copy. A rookie mistake is to click on Move, because what that will do is remove the copy that you have, the original, and put the copy here in this new space. Don't worry about it if that happens. You can always go back and reverse the process and just copy. For now, I'm going to choose copy because I don't want to lose my original copy. So I click copy, and now what I expect to see when I go back to Organizer is that in the Welcome section, I now have a new page called Free OER Journals and Tools. And there they are. Let's check to see if that's on the web yet. I don't see it. But eventually that page is going to show up with all the content. And there it is. Now I can see I've got that. See how easy that was just to quickly move content back and forth between multiple notebooks? That's why, as a teacher, I would recommend that you create a OneNote notebook that you can use to store all of the great stuff that you want to use in your classroom across different content areas or whatever. And you can create as many sections as you need to organize things. So let me come back here and grab some more content. Okay, this is the one I'm looking for. You can put lots of different kinds of content into OneNote. And in this particular one, I have examples from YouTube, Vimeo, SlideShare, Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Sway, Office Mix, and GeoGebra. And again, I'm just going to go down, right-click on that, choose Move or Copy, flip back over to my organizer and copy. Now the benefit of this is that I can actually click on each one of these, and you can't hear it, but it was playing the audio of this video. So now, as you can see, OneNote is just a very straightforward, simple thing. If I can just double check, if I come back here to the web and I just refresh, I should see all of my content that I've added there. Just the put content into OneNote. And imagine your students being able to just quickly come in and view a video that you've embedded or placed here for them to look at. It's all in one place, very easy to access. So that's just a quick overview of OneNote. Remember, we haven't really gotten too deep on this, but it is easy to just add new pages, and you can have an unlimited number of pages. You can come in and insert tables. So for example, if you wanted to adjust your table, you could do that. And unfortunately there's not a lot of table editing that's possible right now. This is where you can see I'm looking for actually the merge command, but it's not available just yet. But you can delete columns, delete rows, and all of that. Now another thing that you can do is go into the draw mode, and as you can see, I've got several different tools here. I can and different colors. I flunked art in kindergarten, so my apologies. You also have a yellow highlighter, and you can adjust that to any color you want. There's even more colors here that you can play with, just like that. There's also ink to shape, which I don't know if but if you are using your usually with ink to shape, what'll happen is you can try to draw a circle, and it will convert it into a shape for you. So circle should have gone into a circle. Of course, you can also use the built-in circle tools or squares or whatever that you want to draw and make. If you decide you don't want all that, you can just quickly delete it. And then add more content. So again, you can add your own pen. So very straightforward tools that are wonderful, especially on a touchscreen device with a stylus, or if you're on an iPad, you can definitely use that. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and bring this part of the video to a close. This is just like I said, a quick overview or introduction to OneNote and getting started with OneDrive. So let's just quickly review the process before we wrap up. When you are working with in Office 365, make sure that when you create your notebook, you start with OneDrive first. Go to OneDrive, go to OneNote Notebook, and create a notebook, and know what your username and password are, because you may be logged in online, but if you want to open the app and get access to all these other additional features, you're going to need to know how to access your accounts and know your usernames and passwords. So as you can see, I've got several usernames and passwords here that I rely on. So if you can keep those points in mind, that'll get you started and going. And then once you've created your notebook, it will automatically sync a copy for your online version. Now, if something happens and you end up closing out of your account and you come in. You can always come back to OneDrive. You see right there I have the organizer. I click on it, and it's opening up in OneNote Online. Here's all my resources, everything that I've spent time, and then I can always just click on Open in OneNote, and what that will do is open the app on my computer. So think of that you start and finish everything that you do in the cloud, and what you do in the middle, working on the different with all the content, all of that is done in the OneNote app because you have so many great features. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you have any questions, you can reach me on Twitter at MGUHLIN, and allow me to invite you to visit the TCEA website and check out the blog, TechNotes blog. You can get there by going to tca.org/blog and then doing a quick search, or excuse me, come down to the categories and choose Microsoft Tips and Tricks. Or if you like, just type in OneNote. And I bet that will bring up quite a few resources for you. Thanks again.